Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Fit and Focused for Remote Work and Digital Nomad podcast. My name is Shurina, and I teach people to use their brain better these days. I come from nutrition background, certified nutritionist, health, nutrition, fitness coach, and now I combine all of that with the latest neuroscience research to help you guys to understand that your brain can work so much better. You just need to know how to act, how to design your behavior, how to eat to make your brain a super genius, helping you to build new habits, to break old habits that don't serve you anymore, or to change even your personality, your confidence levels that you experience every day, how creative you are, how well and fast you can learn and memorize things. And this one is such an life amplifier, guys. Imagine if you can learn and memorize and read twice as fast. There are all kinds of speed reading courses, but I took one of those courses from Jim Quick, actually, one of the best courses. And I realized that for me, that course didn't do much because my brain was already working really well. I used a couple of tricks here and there, but I didn't need to pay for that $400 and spend hours watching all these videos that didn't really tell me a lot of new stuff. When your brain works well, a lot of that learning hacks and reading hacks, they will come naturally to you. The brain is an amazing machine when we stop compromising its function with our behaviors that we do because of lack of knowledge. Neuroscience research when it comes to specific protocols for the brain, it's very new, it's very recent, and it's probably not going to be in education for I don't know how many years. Maybe technology will catch up faster, who knows. But you can learn a lot of that stuff today. Today we're going to talk about cravings and chicken. Cravings, briefly, chicken a little bit more, and you'll understand why exactly is that. Chicken, you think, well, Angela, maybe I don't eat chicken. If you don't have allergy to chicken, I highly recommend you to look into that food, and you'll learn why it's such an amazing food for the soul, for the brain, for learning, for sexy drive, for motivation in just a few minutes. But before cravings, I watched a video on Instagram yesterday, and there was a girl saying, one of those truisms that your cravings do not come from the lack of willpower. Our cravings come from different imbalances that we have in our lifestyle and in our food choices and inability to manage our blood chemistry without food, right? And I so totally agree with that. I used to crave sweets and all kinds of weird junk foods, and I didn't understand why I would crave it. Why would I crave things that were not good for me? Then I realized that I didn't manage my stress properly, and I didn't have many tools and skills to manage my emotional and mental state. And then because of lack of certain nutrients, my body did need nutrients, but because I was eating all these weird foods, it didn't know how to tell me. My brain didn't know how to crave the right thing, so it craved whatever, especially with all these, artificial flavorings and enhancers of different properties of food. The brain is just lost. It cannot crave the right stuff anymore because there is so much the wrong stuff that confuses your brain maps. And so cravings, guys, if you crave a lot of stuff that isn't good for you, it's not because you lack willpower and you just need to have stronger willpower to resist all of your cravings. No, that's not what happens to most people who maintain healthy eating habits without overeating on any junk for a long time. People who don't have cravings like myself. Again, I used to crave a ton of things that were awful for me. Cookies, ice creams, and chocolate bars, and potato chips, and all kinds of stuff. But yeah, if you were to eat one chip or a scoop of ice cream, probably wouldn't be that bad at all on a top of balanced diet. But what I used to eat, just overeat, just binge on all of that, or I needed every other day. It became something that wasn't balanced. Having dessert made from natural ingredients once in a while is one thing. Feeling like you need it every day, it's a different thing. And so, guys, if you're experiencing cravings, realize that your cravings do not come from the lack of willpower. So there are a couple of things that you need to look into. Balanced nutrition. When you lack essential nutrients, vitamins, and minerals, we have more than 30 of them. If you lack those, you will crave stuff, your hunger will be increased, and because your brain didn't develop the skill of craving the right stuff, you're probably going to crave everything. So you need to do a consultation with a nutritionist, not reading some fat diet book. No, you need a proper consultation. You most probably need to supplement. Most people in our world do need that. It's very hard to get all of the nutrients from your diet. So nutrition, got to be balanced. Number 2, cravings can arise from your inability to manage stress. Every time stress happens, your blood sugar starts to fluctuate. Your brain gets into the mode of first making you ready to fight and flight, releasing a bunch of energy, and then also elevating your blood sugar. But then what happens after that, your blood sugar goes down, your energy reserves, your brain gets the signal they need to be replenished soon. And so you start eating and eating. And when your brain is in a state of chronic state, that's like kind of like nudging your brain, something bad is coming. We need to eat. We need to get the energy. And so you crave all that stuff all the time. And your blood sugar also, if your diet is suboptimal, is going to be all over the place. And so you're going to be craving stuff just because your blood sugar going to fluctuate up and down. And also you in a state of stress without proper stress management techniques like meditation and breathing practices. What happens is you don't manage that stress level stress levels are elevated on your blood level. And when your stress levels are elevated all the time, one of the things that happens is that you want to eat more and more food, and your body will be more likely to store more of that food. And another thing when it comes to cravings, besides not managing your stress levels, is just different imbalances because of improper sleep, lifestyle, exercise routine, and imbalanced nutrition that can trigger different hormonal imbalances and metabolic imbalances that can also, it kind of becomes like a vicious circle. You don't eat right, you don't exercise, and then you start craving shit, and that shit causes problems with your hormones and your metabolism, and you start craving more things. So you kind of gotta address all of those things. You gotta sleep right, you gotta exercise, you gotta learn how to manage stress, you gotta eat right, and then after a while, it's going to take some time. Your cravings going to be less and less and less and less. And in general, for cravings, if you crave stuff, I always recommend, think of the food that you crave. If it's something sweet, eat something naturally sweet, like a banana. Really good for cravings killing. And if you crave something fattier, then instead of getting some ice cream, let's say, eat some Greek yogurt that is also quite fatty, that helps the calcium. Maybe add some cinnamon, some berries into that, and the experience is almost identical, right? So if you crave something, find the healthy food that is similar to that and eat that. At least, even if you overeat calories, you're going to eat a ton of nutrients that are going to help your body to manage stress and to get nutrients and to get better and eventually start craving less and less junk. So that's about cravings, right? Going cold turkey trying to train your willpower, not gonna work, guys, right? So the first step, the most practical step for you for now, if you don't see yourself making other steps at the moment, when you crave unhealthy stuff, replace it with the closest version of whole food without any additives, flavor enhancers, sugars, all kinds of ingredients that do not belong in your kitchen. And now let's talk about chicken. There is a whole series of books. It's called Chicken Soup for the Soul. And I didn't really never understood what was the name about. Maybe I need to read about the history of how it came to be. But I love chicken. And when I read more into nutrition profile of chicken, specifically actually when I was studying brain chemistry and different important brain chemicals that makes us more motivated or confident, I was surprised to know that chicken, always made me feel good. It was like chicken is food for the soul. I think even in some cultures, maybe Afro-American culture, they call it soul food or something like that. I don't know again where that came from, but chicken. Why is it such a good food for your soul and for your brain performance to feel good and do good? Chicken is among the richest sources of two important amino acids, tyrosine and tryptophan. Tyrosine, your dopamine is made of it. Tryptophan, your serotonin is made of it. So dopamine, why do we need dopamine? Dopamine is motivation molecule. It helps you to learn, to focus, to concentrate, to pay attention. It's your main drive for action. It's engaged in mood regulation, in your drive for action, but also movement. People who have really chronic deficiency in dopamine, they have all kinds of movement conditions and diseases. Parkinson is, I think, one of the very severe ones. So chicken, high in, not in dopamine, but in tyrosine that dopamine is made of. Dopamine is also correlated with high levels of intelligence. I would be interested in checking dopamine levels in people like Elon Musk. Well, Steve Jobs already is dead, but highly motivated people, highly intelligent people seem to have all of them high levels of dopamine. I need to check mine because I consider myself a pretty intelligent person and very driven, that's for sure. So I believe that for me, it's higher dopamine levels, even though I think naturally it wasn't that high. But since I started really optimizing for that, it's like I have no end of that drive and motivation. I can start loaning it to people. But dopamine, if you depressed, losing a zest for life, not as excited about things, might be your dopamine. And again, especially if you struggling with motivation, with just wanting to experience and get things done. It's also highly engaging pleasure reward mechanism. So basically you visualizing a reward and being able to work hard for that. So dopamine is the most important in that function. And for example, in experiments, mice who were modified to not have a lot of dopamine, to lack dopamine. Maybe they even lack dopamine receptors completely. I forgot all the details of the studies, but they were not even motivated to eat when the food was right there. They were just not, they didn't have any drive to pursue things they were essential for their survival even. So dopamine is that important. For action, for mood, for movement, for intelligence, for concentration, focus that are required for learning, for memory, for getting anything done, right? And dopamine, it's made of tyrosine, and chicken is hands down one of the richest sources. Before chicken is only beef, pork, maybe a couple of other animal products. In just 100 grams of chicken, 3.5 ounces, about that, you get 132% of your daily needs, according to databases of tyrosine that dopamine is made of, right? The only plant-based food that is still almost half of that is tofu, right? That gives you 80% in the same amount. So 132 and 80, right? Compare that. That's why vegan and vegetarian diets, I was on vegan diet, and I can tell you that my dopamine levels were nowhere near where they are now. I actually had hard times motivating myself doing things, and that was one of the reasons why I switched to non-vegan diet. I didn't know about all these dopamine details back then, but I felt that whenever I was on a vegan diet and I had my slips to animal foods, right? So when I would eat animal foods, I felt so on purpose, so motivated, so action driven. When I would start eating this plant-based foods, only 100%, my dopamine levels were just, let's chill, let's enjoy nature. That is not that bad, but if that's the only thing you do and you never take proactive action, you never work hard on things you want, that's going to create a mediocre life experience. That's it, guys. So if you don't like animal products, I highly recommend you to look into tyrosine supplements. That is an amino acid that chicken is rich in, right? That dopamine is made of. Now, what chicken is also rich in is tryptophan. And here, chicken and turkey foods, they are the highest. They are the kings and queens of tryptophan. In 100 grams, you're going to get 144% of your daily needs. And again, tofu is somewhere at 84, and the rest of plant foods nowhere near, right? So, 144% in a piece of chicken. And tryptophan, why is that important for your soul, for your brain? Tryptophan, that's what serotonin is made of. Serotonin is very picky, it's very capricious, it's hard to make it from that tryptophan, even if you eat enough of that. But if you don't eat enough, and again, plant-based foods are not rich in that at all. So why serotonin is important? Well, it's important because it plays many, many roles in a lot of systems in our body, not just our brain, but also our body. Your sleep, your appetite, your cravings, your digestion, your libido. All of that depends on serotonin in different systems in our body. In the brain, it contributes powerfully to states of relaxation, peace of mind. It helps us to learn things, to memorize things. It gives us a sense of confidence. And again, it helps us to be relaxed. And, when you're confident, you are more relaxed. You are not stressed and jittery and all over the place, right? Serotonin, it's also very important for mental health. That's why you see all these drugs for depressions and anxiety that have special compounds in them that make serotonin more efficient in the brain, right? But for a lot of people would not experience that much anxiety and depression. I'm not talking about super severe cases. Obviously, I'm not saying that food will solve all your problems and just eat chicken. But a lot of people would do much better, if not completely cured of anxious and depressive symptoms, when you would have all the healthy lifestyle and you eat a plenty of tryptophan. A lot of people on vegetarian and vegan diets, after a while, start getting a little bit anxious. Also, what happens? I remember this now. When you are on a vegan diet and you don't get a lot of tryptophan and your serotonin levels are really suboptimal, you start getting anal. What I mean by that, and I was like that, you start getting OCD about that. Like, everything has to be perfect. Everything has to be in its place. Like, you just start getting so annoyed with small details. And that really tells you something that, if people tell you, just chill, just let it go, just be simpler. It might be a serotonin issue, and especially in vegan vegetarian diet, you might, if you don't want to eat animal-based products and you need to eat them regularly because you need to make that serotonin, a lot of that regularly, then look into supplementation. And chicken, the best source for tryptophan that serotonin made of. So that's why I can say chicken is definitely food for the soul. Tyrosine, tryptophan, your dopamine, your serotonin, highest percentages for the smallest amounts. So if I were experiencing a lot of anxiety and depression, by the way, yesterday I ate quite a lot of chicken and I'm really happy about that today. If you are someone who is experiencing lack of drive and also you are anxious and hard for you to relax, hard for you to let go, your sleep, your might be all over the place, your confidence nowhere to be found, your appetite and cravings all over the place, I would prescribe to you literally eat 120 to 150 grams of chicken per day, or more if you want, depending on your size, depending not on your appetite. When you're prescribed something and you have a problem, you do what's necessary, not what you feel like. So chicken might be the food that you are missing exactly. Go for organic, guys. It's not just because it can have residual hormones and pesticides. Not pesticides, but hormonal stuff if it's not organic, more often than not. But also the taste, the flavor of organic chicken, pastured specifically, it's just sublime. Right? And organic, why it's also important, if chicken was treated with some medications that, or organic chickens do not get treated with medications, and some of those medications might end up in the meat of chicken and might end up in you. And medications do negatively impact levels of dopamine and serotonin. So not to scare you, but to be aware, if you can get organic chicken, this is the reason to get it. And that's it for today, guys. Cravings and chicken. And as you can see, chicken can help you with your cravings. And there might be a reason why they call it chicken soup for the soul and part of soul food menu in some cultures. So eat your chicken. I definitely enjoy quite a lot of it. Yesterday was super amazing with Brussels sprouts, sauteed with onions, mushrooms, and tomatoes. It was sublime, and also curry spices and salt. So eat your chicken, guys. Have an awesome, motivated, but also confident and peaceful day, and you'll hear from me very soon. Until then, eat some chicken.